Good morning, all of you. In today's session, we are going to start with CSIR NET JRF Chemical Science, December 2014, Part C, Series 7. By this entire CSIR NET JRF Chemical Science, December 2014 paper is going to be completed. Earlier, we completed CSIR NET JRF Chemical Science of 2014 June. Entire solved question paper is available on the channel called World of Competitive Chemistry. Apart from that, we already completed detailed solved question papers of CSIR NET JRF of 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. All solved papers available on the channel called World of Competitive Chemistry. This kind of standard previous year discussion will fetching you towards if you are preparing for any competitive exam or any entrance examination, if you are really aspiring about research in this field. So this will be very much helpful for you. Let us enter into our today's concept. CSIR NET JRF Chemical Science, December 2014, Part C, Series 7, consisting questions from 131 to 145. Let us start with question number 131. At high pressure, the fugacity coefficient of the real gas is greater than 1 because what is the reason for this one? Here, fugacity coefficient to be measured. In order to measure the fugacity coefficient, first we have to know what is meant by fugacity. So fugacity almost is equal to pressure only. So in case of ideal gas, you can consider pressure term. So pressure term can be considered in case of ideal gas. So same pressure term can be applied to real gas in terms of fugacity. So what is the main difference between ideal gas and real gas? So ideal gas is nothing but under ideal conditions, by maintaining ideal conditions, if any gas which used to obey all the gaseous laws, that's said to be an ideal gas. If any gas which deviating from the ideal gas laws, then it is said to be a real gas. So real gas can be applied based on the pressure and the temperature conditions. If we are applying low pressure, means all the particles are well apart, there is no any attractive or repulsive forces will be there, then it is considered as a real gas. So then it is considered as an ideal gas. At low pressure conditions, the gas works like a ideal gas. As the pressure rises, what happens? That will deviate from the ideal and the real gas. For this real gas, the equation applied is called Van der Waals equation. Right. So for real gases, the pressure term can be employed in terms of fugacity. And what will be the fugacity coefficient? Fugacity are determined experimental. It is the experimental parameter and can be estimated from the various models such as Van der Waals gas equation. Van der Waals gas equation is mainly applicable to real gases only, right? So where the volume and attractive forces also taken into the consideration. That's why pressure correction and volume correction was made Van der Waals equation, and so this is somewhat closer to the real gas, somewhat closer to the ideal gas. In the real gas pressure, fugacity are related through the dimensional less parameter called fugacity coefficient. Okay, there is a slight variation between pressure and fugacity. Pressure employed to ideal gas, fugacity employed to the real gases. So the interrelation between these two are measured by the parameter called fugacity coefficient pi. Right. So here the formula, the pressure dependent fugacity is given by the equation. This is the data collected from encyclopedia. Then d ln f by dpt is equal to v. So always the value will be taken as a positive. Fugacity value is taken as a positive term, right? So now let us see what is the difference between the fugacity of ideal gas and real gas. In case of ideal gas, if we are plotting the graph, so what happens? Ideal gas is going to be represented in the form of what? In the form of this kind of line will be appeared. So this is the curvature which is appeared from the appeared for the ideal gas. So when you draw the same plot for the real gas, so in case of real gas, you can assume it is a fugacity instead of pressure, and this kind of curvature will be appeared. This kind of curvature will be appeared, and always this fugacity is directly proportional to pressure. So fugacity value is directly proportional to pressure. And this is the interrelation between the ideal gas pressure and the real gas fugacity. Okay. So now the condition is what they are asking for. high pressure. When we are applying the high pressure, always the gas behaves like a real gas, and the fugacity coefficient value will be greater than 1. The main reason will be when we are applying the pressure, what happens? So all the gaseous molecules are coming closer to each other, so that there is a possibility of repulsive forces. They are used to repel each other. At that condition, repulsions will be overweight when compared to the attractive forces. Because of that reason, fugacity coefficient value will become greater than 1 unit. The correct answer for question number 131 will be option number 2. So right answer will be option number 2 for question number 131. Let us move on to question number 132. If dissociation constant A and ionization constant A refers to respectively dissociation energy and ionization potential of atom A, where A is either hydrogen molecule, hydrogen molecular ion, H2 positive, means one of the electron got discarded from this, right, species. The correct relation among the following is, here, dissociation energy and ionization energy terms are denoted with a D naught and I for the atom A. You may take atom A as hydrogen, or hydrogen atom, or hydrogen molecule, or hydrogen ion, molecular ion can be taken. Then what will be the relation? In order to get this relation, so here dissociation energy for the hydrogen molecule is given here. Experimental value is 36,011.8.062. This is the value calculated experimentally. Dissociation energy of hydrogen calculated theoretically, that is almost equal only, but there is a slight deviation. 36,118.069 will be taken. So these are the values calculated experimentally, theoretically. Then in order to calculate theoretically, what will be the formula? The formula will be dissociation energy of hydrogen is equal to dissociation energy of hydrogen molecular ion minus ionization energy of hydrogen atom plus ionization energy of hydrogen molecule. Right. So here, when we consider ionization energy of hydrogen atom, what is the meant by that one? So that is nothing but amount of energy required to remove the electron from the gaseous hydrogen atom is called its ionization energy. And IH2 is nothing but amount of energy required to remove the electron from the hydrogen molecule in the gaseous state is called IH2. Right. So here, in order to calculate this dissociation energy theoretically, the formula will be dissociation energy of hydrogen molecular ion minus ionization energy of hydrogen atom plus ionization energy of hydrogen molecule. So this is the correct formula. For question number 132, option number 2 is the right answer. Let us move on to question number 133. The character table of C2V point group is given below. Cis butadiene molecule vibrational modes belongs to A2 irreducible representations. IR inactive. The remaining IR active modes are. So A2 table will be IR inactive. So we can discard A2 term from this, right? The remaining IR active modes are IR active modes to be determined. Let us discuss. This is a characteristic table. E denotes identity element. C2 is nothing but alternate, twofold alternate axis of symmetry. Sigma V is nothing but plane of symmetry in the vertical. Sigma V prime is nothing but vertical sigma plane will be there. That is perpendicular to this vertical plane. So A1, A2, B1, B2 are irreducible representations. Among all, they already mentioned that A2 will be IR inactive. These terms can be discarded from the system and the final answer, right? So for this purpose, let us calculate their IR active modes. For that purpose, the equation will be 1, 3 butadiene. Here you can find sigma V prime and sigma V plane. So if we take in this direction, that is sigma V plane, and in this direction, sigma V prime plane will be there. So being it is the molecule of C2V symmetry, axis of symmetry and vertical plane is also there. So number of unshifted atoms are identity elements are 10, C2 or axis of symmetry are 0, sigma V plane will be 0 and sigma V prime will be 10 atoms will be there. So contribution for the atom will be 3, -1, 1 and 1 can be taken. And total reducible representation, we can multiply this 3 into 10, it will be 10. 0 into -1, it will be 0. 0 into -1, it will be 0. 10 into 1, it will be 10. The overall table will be reducible representation table will be 30, 0, 0, 10 given for this 1,3 butadiene. Now we are going to calculate their coefficients. Coefficients are nothing but the terms which are present in the front of that. So here Na1, first let us calculate for first one. Na1 can be taken 1 by H. H denotes what? Sum of all the coefficients of these symmetry operations. How many identity operations are there? Only one. C2 is also 1. Sigma V1, sigma V prime is also 1. So 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, it will become 1 by 4. Now you can take 30. 30 plus 0 can be taken and 10 plus 10. So these are the parameters which are taken for A1. So coefficient for A1, 30 plus 0 plus 10 plus 10 can be taken. Now it will become 30 plus 10, 40, 40 by 4. So coefficient in A1 will be 10, 40 by 4 it will be 10. In A2, it can be taken as 1 by 4, 30 minus 10 can be taken, 20 by 4 it will be 5. Coefficient for A2 will be 5. So all these are reducible representations only. For B1, it is calculated as 5. For B2, it is calculated as 10. So reducible representations, we got all 4 coefficients. What it will be? 10A1 plus 5A2 plus 5B1 plus 10B2. So these are the coefficients. Now, what is the requirement? How many IR active modes are there? In order to calculate IR active modes, so these are the total possible modes. Now, rotational modes are given by A2 plus B1 plus B2. Translational modes are given by A1 plus B1 plus B2. Rotational A2 plus B1 plus B2. Translational A1 plus B1 plus B2. These are the empirical formulas. Now, vibrational modes of stretching is equal to total reducible representations minus rotational plus vibrational. Total value is given as 10A1 plus 5A2 plus 5B1 plus 10B2. Now, minus, you can take rotational A2 plus B1 plus B2. Then for translational, A1 plus B1 plus B2 can be taken. If we take the sum of these two, how can we write B1? B1 both are there, hence you can write 2B1. Here you wrote 2B1. And B2, B2 both the terms are there, which can be written as 2B2. Right. So from this equation, let us predict them. Here 10A1 is there, minus A1 is there. So from this you can subtract, so that leftover will be 9A1. Then 5A2 is there, A2 is there. So leftover will be 4A2 only. 4A2 will be the leftover term. 5B1, 2B1. So if you subtract this, the leftover term will be 3B1. 3B1 is there. Then 10B2, 2B2. 10B2 minus 2B2, the leftover will be 8B2. Then why we are not writing that 4A2 here? Because A2 term is IR inactive, right? So that's why it is need not to consider in the final answer. That's the reason why the requirement which are IR active 9A1 plus 3B1 plus 8B2. So 4A2 is not required, being it is IR inactive. So this is the final answer for vibrational modes which are IR active. So 9A1 for this 1,3 butadiene molecule, 9A1 plus 3B1 plus 8B2, which is provided in the option number 4. For question number 133, option number 4 is the correct answer. Let us move on to question number 134. So again, it is a question from group theory. The product of sigma xy S4 Z is the fourfold improper axis of rotation around the Z axis. And sigma xy is the reflection in xy plane. So reflection plane which is in x direction as well as in the y direction, it will be taken. So Sn is nothing but, so Sn is given as a product of Cn and x. In the similar manner, Cn to the power z when taken, that is the product of Sn to the power z into sigma xy can be taken, right? So what is the value? It will be Sn, n value is 4, right? Within the problem, they mentioned it is S4. So it will be S4 to the power Z and sigma XY. How sigma XY is given? Let us see by taking the example formaldehyde. In the formaldehyde, you can put a imaginary plane in the Y coordinate, and the same can be employed in the X coordinate even. So here XY, sigma XY plane is available in the formaldehyde. In the same manner, here also within the given compound, we have that the product of these two. Just in order to get the assumption, we took this formaldehyde as an example, right? So sigma XY plane is given for this one, and S and Z. So in order to get that, if the molecule, for example, I'm taking allene. So when this molecule was taken, allene molecule was taken here, C4 axis of rotation. What is meant by C4 axis of rotation? If the molecule is said to be rotated by 180 degrees, what happens? There is a rotation of the molecule, and that is imposed with the sigma plane also. So if the molecule having C4 axis of symmetry as well as sigma plane in that, now it's said to contain S4 axis of symmetry. S4 is the product of C4 into sigma V, sigma vertical plane. So both are required combinedly. Then only S4 axis of symmetry be there. So when we take that one, S4Z into sigma XY, that will be the product will become S4Z. S4Z is available only in the option number 1. For question number 134, option number 1 is the correct answer. This is a question from group theory. Now let us move on to question number 135. A solid consisting only X atom has a close packed structure with the X distance of 160 picometers. Assuming it to be a close packed structure of hard sphere with the radius is equal to half of the XX bond length, the number of atoms in 1 centimeter cube will be, right? So the solid consisting only X atoms has a close packed structure, and the close packed hard sphere radius is equal to a half of its bond length, the number of atoms in the 1 centimeter cube to be predicted. For that purpose, the system is said to, this is the question from solid state chemistry, and in this question, the system is said to be exist in face-centered cubic. For face-centered cubic, A is given by 4r by under root 2. 4 into radius is given by 80 by under root 2 can be taken. That will be 320 by root 2. 320 by root 2 value will be 226.31 picometers, right? It can be converted into centimeters by multiplying with 10 to the power minus 10. Now the volume is equal to 226.31 into 10 to the power minus 10 whole cube, right? So volume always represented in centimeter cube. Now 1.159 into 10 to the power minus 30 into 10 to the power minus 10. So if we expand this, it will be like this. It can be multiplied further. 1 to 10 to the power minus 3 can be taken here. So because 1.159 almost you can write it as a 1.16. So here in both the cases base 10 is there. That's why powers will be subtracted. Minus 30 plus 7. It will become minus 23. So volume will be 1.16 into 10 to the power minus 23. Now 1.16 into 10 to the power minus 23 is equal to 4 atoms. Why 4 atoms represented? Being it is the FCC lattice. FCC lattice contribute 4 atoms, right? Right. So here FCC lattice is able to contribute 4 atoms. So that's it. From corners 1 atom, from the faces 3 atoms. 1 plus 3 total 4 atoms will be given from FCC lattice. Then once what they are asking for within the question, they are asking for the number of atoms in only 1 centimeter cube can be required. So for 1.16 into 10 to the power minus 3 occupies 4 atoms. For 1 centimeter, how many atoms are there? That will be taken as a cross multiplication. 4 by 1.16 into 10 to the power minus 23, the value will be 3.45 into 10 to the power 23 atoms. 3.45 into 10 to the power 23 atoms are provided in the option number 2. For question number 135, option number 2 is the correct answer. Let us move on to question number 136. This is a question from non-conventional fields. A fuel cell provides the clean electrical energy to the variety of applications, including automobiles, stationary power sources. Normally, hydrogen combines with oxygen to give the electrical energy and water. If we use a butane instead of hydrogen at 1 bar and 298 Kelvin, the following reaction got carried. So what we are doing? So already it is obvious that hydrogen, being it is high calorific value element, hydrogen oxygen fuel cell of extremely high efficiency. But what we are doing now, we are replacing hydrogen with C4H10. So C4H10 plus oxygen will be added. So being it is combusted and converted into carbon dioxide water. In order to balance the equation, stoichiometry will be written as C4H10 plus 13/2 oxygen gives rise to 4 carbon dioxide molecules and 5 water molecules got generated. So this will be the balanced equation. If the change in Gibbs free energy of this reaction will be 2746.06 kilojoules per mole. This is the Gibbs free energy involving 26 electrons got transferred. So during the reaction, 26 electrons got transferred. Its open circuit voltage will be, when we are taking hydrogen oxygen fuel cell, 1 volt of current will be generated, that is fixed. In case of this one, if these conditions employed, what is the voltage generated by this one? Hydrogen oxygen fuel cell used to generate 1.1 volt of energy, not 1 volt, 1.1 volt energy will be generated, right? So in case of this one, what will be the voltage generated if you are employing this Gibbs free energy and these many electrons got transferred? For that purpose, we have the empirical formula, that is delta G cell is equal to, delta G denotes what? Gibbs free energy is equal to, Gibbs free energy change is equal to minus NF E naught cell. Delta G is the Gibbs free energy change. N is the valency, nothing but how many electrons got transferred within the reaction. F is the Faraday. One Faraday is equal to 96,500 coulombs. E naught denotes what? Standard electrode potential of the cell, right? So now we can take minus NFE cell is equal to delta G cell. What is required? Required for circuit voltage. Voltage is needed to be calculated. That's why E naught cell is equal to delta G cell by minus NF can be taken. Delta G value is provided in kilojoules, that is 2746.06. 2746.06 by how many electrons got transferred in this reaction? 26 electrons. Minus 26 into Faraday is equal to 96,500. If we substitute all the values in this equation, the final value will be 0.00109 kilojoules per mole. Kilojoules can be converted into joules by multiplying with 1,000. So it will be converted into 1.09. This cell is able to generate the efficiency of 1.09 volts of open circuit voltage. For question number 139, option number 2 will be the correct answer. Let us move on to question number 137. The fraction of groups condensed at a time in any stepwise condensation polymerization. Overall, the reaction will be second order. It is the question from chemical kinetics which applied to the polymer chemistry, right? So this is a combination question. Now let us see how many fractions of groups got condensed in the stepwise polymerization reaction. So for that purpose, so let us assume A are the starting monomers. When A monomers combined, then the final product will be B, that is a polymer formation. At a time 0, that means initially, as we are taking monomers and without combining, just to be combining at that instance only. At that state, what happens? Only reactants will be their product formation not yet started, because just to be initiated the reaction. At that condition, only reactants will be present whose concentration is taken as A. At that initial state, product formation will become 0 because just we started the reaction at time 0. After time passes, what happens? Some extent of reactants are converted into product. Extent of product converted is given by alpha. And extent of reactant left over. If some extent of reactant converted into product, and the leftover reactant will be A minus alpha, right? Alpha can be taken as fraction of polymer formed. How extent of polymer formed in the time t? For example, we are taking the starting materials, we combine. If we are observing after 30 minutes, now it will become 30 minutes. At 30 minutes, alpha extent of product got generated. So that is nothing but fraction of polymer got formed in this instance, right? That is also known as how extent A got decomposed. How extent A got decomposed, that is also taken as alpha. So how extent a polymer formed or how extent a reactant got converted into product, that is denoted by alpha. For example, at 30 minutes, 30 molecules of product formed from 100 molecules of starting material, 30 got converted into product. Then what will be the leftover? 100 minus 30 it will be. So that 70 are the starting materials and 30 will be the product formed at the time instance, right? So this will be the example for that kind. A minus alpha, alpha will be there. Now, fraction of polymer formed is taken as the ratio of alpha by A. So this is a requirement what we are going to calculate. Fraction of polymer formed or fraction of groups condensed at the time t. So at the time t, that is given by the ratio of alpha by A. So finally, after the entire derivation, we are going to calculate this alpha by A value. How many fraction of molecules got condensed? In order to get that alpha by A value, so the empirical formula is Kt is equal to 1 by n minus 1 into 1 by A to the power n minus 1 minus 1 by A naught. A naught is the initial concentration of reactant. At is the concentration of reactant at the time t. Let us assume n is equal to 0. N is equal to 0 when employed. 1 by 0 minus 1 into 1 by A to the power n minus 1, nothing but 0 minus 1 at time t minus 1 by A naught can be taken. So if we expand the equation, 0 minus 1, it will be 1 only. 1 by A to the power 0 minus 1 minus 1 only, minus 1 by A naught can be taken. So if you take 1 by minus 1, it will be minus 1. If this entire term multiplied with minus 1, this will become minus 1, minus magnitude, minus AT minus A naught. So if we solve this one, what happens? Minus AT minus A naught. So if this minus charge is multiplied with both the parameters, it will become A naught. Minus into minus, it will become plus. Plus A naught minus AT. A naught. So for this n is equal to 0, this k will become A naught minus AT. Now n is equal to 2 can be taken. Let us assume n is equal to 2 we are taking. Kt is equal to, n is taken as 2, right? So 2 minus 1 into 1 by A to the power 2 minus 1 at t time minus 1 by A naught can be taken. Now it will be 1 by 2 minus 1. 2 minus 1 nothing but 1, right? 1 by 1 nothing but 1 itself. Need not to multiply. So because any number multiplied with 1, that will be identical. So you can take 1 by A to the power 2 minus 1. So 2 minus 1 nothing but 1. It will left as a 1 by AT minus 1 by A naught. So this at n is equal to 2 value. Now let us substitute these values in our formula. At a time 0, A and 0 will be the starting and final concentrations. At a time t, starting will be A minus alpha and the final will be alpha. Now, AT value is given as concentration of A, concentration of the starting material at a time t. Concentration of the starting material at a time t will be alpha minus A minus alpha. Initial concentration of the starting material will be A only. Initial concentration A naught is nothing but initial concentration of starting material will be A only, right? Now, let us apply this equation. Here is the equation. 1 by AT minus 1 by A naught. We are taking 1 by AT minus 1 by A naught. It can be written as A naught minus AT by AT into A naught. So because here we are going to take the LCM of these two. When LCM was taken, it is represented as A naught minus AT by AT into A naught. A naught, what is the value? A. AT, what is the value? A minus alpha by A minus alpha into A can be written. Here, A into A, sorry, A into minus A, minus into minus, it will be plus, plus alpha by A into A square, minus alpha A can be written, right? So this is the expanded equation. Letter KT is equal to alpha by A square minus A alpha, because plus alpha minus alpha both got compensated. Only the leftover thing is alpha by A square minus A alpha. Now Ka square is equal to, so it can be written as what we are doing, A square minus KT A alpha is equal to alpha. So these terms are taken that side. When these terms, these entire terms are taken that side and expanded, it can be written as KT A square minus KT A alpha is equal to alpha. Only alpha will be there in the right hand side. Now this negative sign will be taken right side. KT A square is equal to alpha plus KT A alpha. Then KT A square is equal to alpha. So here we have alpha in two sides. So this is taken as a common, alpha into 1 plus KTA. Then the requirement is alpha calculation. Alpha is equal to KTA square by 1 plus KTA. Alpha is equal to KTA square by 1 plus KTA. So we got alpha value, but the requirement is alpha by A value can be required. So alpha by A only called fraction of groups condensed. That is only required for the problem. So both the sides we are going to divide with the term called A. So alpha by A is equal to KTA square by 1 plus KTA by A. So here you can see alpha by A is equal to KTA square by A into 1 plus KTA. So here A square is there, A is there. A get compensated. The final equation will be KTA by 1 plus KTA. KTA by 1 plus KTA is available in the option number 3 only, right? So for question number 137, option number 3 is the correct answer. This is a question from polymer chemistry and the application of chemical kinetics to that one. So let us move on to question number 138. It is the question from again point group symmetry, group theory itself. So here term symbols are given. The configuration of neon 2p1, 3p1 has a D3 term symbol. Its levels are, right? So here this is the electronic configuration. Its a term symbol is D3. And what are other levels to be depicted? For that purpose, we are taking the configuration 2p1, 3p1. 2p1, 1 electron is there, 3p1, 1 electron is there. Actually, it is the violation from Pauli's rule, Kunz rule, what we can say, Auber principle, everything violated, but they gave the condition. This is not the ground state electronic configuration. This is the excited state electronic configuration. 2p1, 3p1 can be taken and a D3 term symbol. How can we say D3 term symbol? Let us calculate. So in 2p orbital, 1 electron is there. In 3p orbital, 1 electron is there. Means +1, 0, -1. Where electron is there? In +1 only. Here also electron is there in +1 angular moment. +1, +1. So total value of L will be 2. +1, +1, the value will be 2. If L is equal to 0, S. L is equal to 1, P. L is equal to 2, it will be D. So L is equal to 2 is there. That's why you can write it as a D. Now S. So S means a spin. So 1 electron with the positive spin plus half is there. Second electron also have positive spin plus half. Plus half plus half, it will be taken as 1. Right? S value will be 1. So D and S1 is there. S1 is there. Let us calculate spin multiplicity. What is the formula? 2s plus 1 is the formula. 2 into 1 plus 1. 2 into 1, 2 plus 1, 3 it will be. So here, D to the power 3, that only given within the problem. D to the power 3, that is the term symbol for this excited state configuration. So of this atom. So this we already calculated. Now, what is the requirement? The requirement is J values. J values ranges from L minus S to L plus S. If you are taking L minus S values, L value is 2. 2 minus S value is 1. So L minus S, 2 minus 1 is represented as 1. So J is equal to 1. J is equal to 1 only. Means 3D1. One of the level we got it. Let us go with L plus S. L value is 2. plus S value is 1. 2 plus 1, it will become 3. So 3D3, this is the second level. If you are going with S is equal to 0, for example, if two electrons are with opposite orientation, if one electron is the clockwise, another electron in the anti-clockwise rotation, now both the charges will be compensated, plus half minus half both compensated. L minus 0, it will be 0. In that case, 3D2 will be the term symbol. So 3D3, 3D2, 3D1. These are the possible levels for 3D configuration, 3D term symbol. 3D3, 3D2, 3D1, all are provided in the option number 3. For question number 138, option number 3 is the correct answer. Let us move on to question number 139. For some one electron system with L is equal to 0, M is equal to 0, functions n0 e to the power minus sigma and n1 2 minus sigma into e to the power minus sigma by 2 refers respectively to the ground E0 and first excited E1 energy levels. If a vibrational wave function n2 3 minus sigma e to the power minus sigma yields an average energy of E mean, E bar, it will satisfy. Okay, so this one electron system was given and the E0 value, average energy, to be calculated. For that purpose, here the system with the wave function psi naught is given as n naught e to the power minus sigma. This value already given within the problem. First level, psi 1 is equal to n1 2 minus sigma e to the power minus sigma by 2. This is the next level, excited level of wave function. Now let us assume e to the power minus sigma is equal to 0. In this case, sigma will become infinity. Sigma value will become infinity. If n minus 1 is taken as a 0, now n value will become 1. 2 minus sigma is equal to 0. Now sigma value will become 2. Then in case of this one, number of nodes will be n minus 1. So that here one node will be appeared for this one. N minus 1 is equal to 1. N is equal to 2 it will be, because minus 1 when comes to this side, that will become 2, right? That is the case for 2 minus sigma is equal to 0. When you apply e to the power minus sigma by 2 is equal to 0. Now the value minus sigma by 2 will become infinity. That is nothing but sigma is equal to infinity. At this condition, energy of first level will be always higher than energy of 0, ground state energy. When compared to ground state energy, excited state energy will be always higher, right? So this is the condition. Now, when we calculate the wave function, a trial wave function, so this value is also provided within the problem. Trial wave function variational theorem, in accordance with the variational theorem, trial wave function is given by n2 into 3 minus sigma into e to the power minus sigma. So in that case, so always that trial wave function value will be greater than or is equal to E exact value. Already we calculated we derived the relation between E exact value, that is E1 will be greater than E0. So now what we got, E trial wave function value, E trial wave function value energy will be always higher than E exact. You can substitute E exact value here. E trial wave value is greater than is equal to E1 greater than E0. This is the final relation between average energy of this variational wave function. So E trial wave function greater than is equal to E1. So one more term should be there, that is greater than E0. If that is not given, this will be the right relation. Third answer will be the correct answer for question number 139. Let us move on to question number 140. The number of microstates that are possible when two particles are distributed in the four states such that resulting wave functions are antisymmetric with respect to exchange of the particles is. How many microstates are present for this system? Two particles are there, four possible orientations are present for this one. For this purpose, we have to apply the empirical formula. Number of microstates denoted with W is equal to m factorial by n factorial into m minus n factorial. M is nothing but total number of probable orientations. N is nothing but how many atoms are participating in this kind of probable orientations. Now the relation is derived from the equation that is called the Fermi-Dirac equation. This equation is called Fermi-Dirac equation. How many probable orientations we have? 4 probable orientations are there within the problem, so that you can substitute M as a 4 factorial. N is nothing but how many atoms are participating here. 2 atoms are there. Within the problem, they mentioned 2 particles. So if 2 particles are participating, 2 factorial into 4 minus 2 factorial. 4 minus 2 will be 2, right? So 4 factorial by 2 factorial into 2 factorial. So here 2 factorial, here 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. This 2 and this 2 get cancelled. Then 4 into 3, 12 by 2. 12 by 2, nothing but 6. How many microstates are possible for this kind of system? 6 microstates are possible. So for question number 4 is the correct answer. Let us move on to question number 141. A Slater determinant corresponding to ionic part of the ground state valency bond wave function of hydrogen molecule. 1 is A alpha, 1 is A beta, 1 is B alpha, 1 is B beta are atomic spin orbitals of hydrogen atom. A and B of the hydrogen molecule. A and B of the hydrogen molecule was given, right? So Slater determinant correspond to ionic part of the ground state valency orbital. So ionic part to be predicted. For that purpose, when you are taking Ha atom whose electron with the clockwise spin, that is denoted with alpha, and the second atom of hydrogen that is also having one more electron which is denoted with beta. When these two hydrogen atoms got combined, there is a formation of molecular hydrogen with the electrons, right? Now in this case corresponding ionic part is represented by 1 is A alpha 1, 1 is A alpha 2, 1 is A beta 1, 1 is A beta 2. This is the ionic part only corresponding to ionic part. 1 is A alpha 1, 1 is A alpha 2, 1 is B beta 1, 1 is A beta 1, 1 is A beta 2, that are provided in the option number 1. For question number 141, option number 1 is the correct answer, which contributes the ionic part of the Slater determinant value. That is given only in the option number 1. Let us move on to question number 142. When T tends to infinity, the value of single particle partition function will be given. Degeneracy level J is equal to Gi, right? So degeneracy level is denoted with Gi. So in that case, so if T tends to infinity, single particle partition function to be predicted, right? So here T tends to infinity, partition function is required to be calculated. In physics, partition function is nothing but a statistical property of the system when the system is in thermodynamical equilibrium. In that case, multiple quantum states sharing same energy, that energy levels are degenerated in nature. If energy levels are sharing energy equally, those are said to be degenerated orbitals. In case of degenerated orbitals, the partition function term contributes the energy level indexed with a J as follows. Partition function Z is equal to summation limitation J Gj into e to the power minus beta Ej, right? So this is the equation for the calculation of partition function. Z is equal to summation Gj into e to the power minus beta Ej. Gj denotes what? Degeneracy factor. And the number of quantum states having the same energy level, Ej is equal to Es. Because being all degenerated energy levels, Ej and Es both are exactly equal. Then beta is the thermodynamical beta, and whose value is 1 by kBt, kB being it is the constant, is the temperature on the Kelvin scale. So here the value of beta will be 1 by kBt. If we substitute 1 by kBt in this equation, T value within the problem, what they mentioned, T tends to infinity, right? When T tends to infinity, that is there in the denominator, that value becomes 1 by infinity becomes 0. If 1 by infinity value becomes 0, this entire parameter e to the power value will become 0. Now Partition function exactly is equal to summation Gj. Summation Gj is provided only in the option number 3. For question number 142, option number 3 will be the correct answer. Let us move on to question number 143. The rate constant of the reaction A to the power 1 plus B to the power n plus gives rise to product P is measured in the two different aqueous solutions of ionic strengths of 0.01 molar and 0.04 molar. If log K 0.04 by 0.01 is equal to 0.3, the charge N on the B atom is closer to the power of this B to be predicted in this problem. So this is the equation which is known as a Bronsted equation, which is derived based on primary salt effect. In order to get this, so first, what is meant by ionic strength? Ionic strength is nothing but summation of concentration and charge of the individual species which are present in the given solution mixture. So that is taken by the empirical formula mu is equal to 1 by 2 C1 Z1 square plus C2 Z2 square plus C3 Z3 square. That will be continued. Okay. So in short form, you can concise the equation as 1 by 2 summation Ci Zi square. Mu is equal to 1 by 2 summation Ci Zi square, right? So this is the equation for ionic strength. But within the problem, they already measured the ionic strength of binary mixture, and that is already provided to us. And Bronsted equation log K by K naught is equal to 2 into Za into Zb root I ionic strength, right? Log K by K naught, that ratio already provided to us, that value is 0.3. 0.3 is equal to 2 into Za is nothing but charge of species A. A species charge is 1, right? So here 1 into Zb, this is required to be calculated. Charge of B component to be predicted. Root I is nothing but I to the power half, right? So 0.3 is equal to 2 into 1 Zb into here ionic strength 0.1 plus, it is not a multiplication, plus 0.04 to the power half. So the value will be 0.05. So it will be 0.3 is equal to 2 into Zb into 0.05. It is calculated as 3. Zb value, charge present on the B component, is calculated as 3. That is given in the option number 3. For question number 143, option number 3 is the correct answer. Let us move on to question number 144. According to the Huckel theory, pi electron charge in the central carbon atom in the propenyl cation is in a units of electronic charge. So central carbon, in the central carbon, what will be the charge? Pi electron charge to be depicted. For that purpose, here a propenyl cation was given whose 3 wave function energies are denoted with alpha plus root 2 beta. Second energy level will be alpha. Third energy level will be alpha minus root 2 beta. Being it is the pi electron system, you can find a double bond among these terminal carbon atoms, so that 2 electrons will be there. So we are applying pi electron molecular orbital theory, so that how many pi electrons are there? Only 2. And always pi electrons tends to occupy the lower energy level, being it is highly stable level. So electrons are occupying in this level. Now, the wave function state will be denoted with psi naught. Next level will be psi 1, and next level will be psi 2. Now, psi naught is equal to half pi 1 plus 1 by under root 2 pi 2 plus 1 by 2 pi 3. This is the equation for psi 1 wave function of ground state. For wave function of psi 1 means a second level, 1 by root pi 1 into 1 by root 2 pi 3. This is the value for wave function of second level. For third level, the value will be, being it is antibonding orbital, it is indicated as psi 2 is equal to 1 by 2 pi 1 minus 1 by root 2 pi 2 plus 1 by 2 pi 3. This is the value for third level. Now we are going to calculate the value of pi 2. Pi 2 is equal to 2 into 1 by root 2 whole square. Root 2 whole square can be taken as 2, right? So the value will be 2 into 1 by 2. because we have to calculate the charge present in the central atom, that is given by pi square. So that is equal to 2 into 1 by 2. 2 into 1 by 2 to get compensated, the value of pi square will be, means the charge in the central atom will be 1. So for question number 144, option number 1 is the correct answer. Let us move on to last question of the series. Among the following figures, mass absorbed versus pressure graphs are plotted. 3 different plots are represented in this case. The variation of mass absorbed with the pressure for the monolayer and multi-layer are respectively. So from this data, first you have to assume what is monolayer, what is multi-layer adsorption. This is the question from solid surface and colloid chemistry, where monolayer is nothing but when solid surface adsorbed by the molecules only in the single layer. That is only possible when chemisorption is the process. Chemisorption and monolayer adsorption is related with Langmuir adsorption isotherm, whereas multi-layer is proceeded when the solid surface occupied by more number of atoms than one layer. That is the case possible whenever physical adsorption is possible and it is accompanied by Freundlich adsorption isotherm. Langmuir adsorption isotherm is represented pressure versus curvature. Hyperbola is represented. This is the curvature for Langmuir, being it is monolayered. So this is the curvature, so which corresponds to monolayer adsorption. When you apply the Freundlich monomer absorption is possible, multi-layered adsorption is possible, and you can find the curvature in this manner. This is in accordance with Freundlich adsorption isotherm. And this monolayer corresponds to hyperbola. Then multi-layer corresponds to this kind of curvature in accordance with the Freundlich. Monolayer, Langmuir, multi-layer, Freundlich adsorption isotherm will be possible. And these two are the correct one. A, B are the correct representation for mono and multi-layer. A, B respectively. A, B respectively available in the option number 2. For question number 145, option number 2 is the correct answer. By this, entire series of CSIR NET JRF Chemical Science December 2014 Part C was completed. Not only Part C, this entire CSIR NET JRF Chemical Science December 2014 question paper totally completed. So by this series, we completed entire academic year 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020 CSIR NET JRF question paper discussion. I tried my level best in order to incorporate all the things, whatever required to solve all these questions, and all these solved question papers available in the channel called World of Competitive Chemistry. Thank you very much for your consistent listening. I hope this session will be very much helpful for your preparation towards your entrance examination, competitive examination, if you are aspiring for the research also. Thank you very much for your patience listening. Thank you one and all.